I'm Stuart Nicklin. I'm the Dean of Postgraduate Research in the College of Medical Veterinary and Life Sciences. It's a pleasure to welcome you all this morning and just to hear about opportunities for undertaking postgraduate research degrees in the college. So what I'm going to do is share some slides, give you some background information, just to sort of set the scene for what happens in MVLS, potential opportunities, and then very happy to answer questions at the end. So if the technology works well, I am sending a request to be allowed to share slides, which I can't do at the moment. So Neil, thanks if you could let me share slides. We'll be with you in a second.
Are you?
Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so can I just ask you to confirm that you can see my screen?
Yeah.
And you can see the slides and they're in presentation view?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great, thanks very much. Okay, so as I said, I'm Stuart Nicklin. I'm the Dean of Postgraduate Research in the Graduate School at MVLS. So that means I'm sort of responsible for coordinating all the postgraduate research activities and the sort of journey our PGR students go on for a PhD. So it's a pleasure to talk to you this morning. So in this presentation, what I'm really going to do is kind of give you a bit of a brief background to MVLS and what we do. And then I'm going to talk about postgraduate research studies, so the different types of degrees, a little bit about what a PhD journey is like, what you can expect to do, and then some information on steps for applying and the types of subjects and programs we've got available. As I said at the end, there'll be time to ask any questions. Okay, so first I thought I'd actually start with our education, because a lot of our students actually study here or either for undergrads, then masters, and then on to PhDs, or actually come from countries all over the world to undertake master's degrees here before going on to PhDs. So we've got a huge suite of postgraduate programs, and the University of Glasgow and the college is ranked first and second in many subjects. So animal science, sports science, nursing, biology, veterinary medicine, a whole range of subjects that MVLS offer research opportunities in. We're also ranked top with lots of accredited degrees. So that really just sets the scene. This is a really vibrant community in MVLS of researchers, teaching staff, and students undertaking education at all levels in important research degrees. So in terms of research, then the University of Glasgow is a member of the Russell Group of UK universities. So this is the top 20 research intensive institutions in the UK. We're a world leading university, and in the UK, there's assessment of all universities' research through the Research Excellence Framework. And in the last assessment of the universities, we were first in Scotland for grade point average in terms of our research, first in Scotland for our research outputs of our publications and external facing results of our research, 13th in the Russell Group for our research power, and 5th in the Russell Group for 4-star research outputs. And these are really the publications and papers that have been recognized to be sort of transformational research, world-leading international research that changes disciplines. And historically, this university's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and there are 8 Nobel Prize winners associated with the university in that time that have studied, graduated, or worked here at some point. So we're really a university with a really long and historical reputation for doing outstanding research. And the College of Medical Veterinary and Life Sciences, or MVLS, is one of the 4 colleges that make up the university. We're organised into 8 disciplinary schools, and within those schools, they deliver degrees at both undergraduate level and postgraduate level, and that's also where all the disciplinary research is undertaken as well. So And we're split up into specific areas of research. So, for example, cardiovascular, cancer, immunology, and biodiversity, medicine, dentistry and nursing, and psychology and neurosciences. And then a school of molecular biosciences, which really studies fundamental biological principles.
Excuse me, your microphone is muted.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. So we're a large college as well. So there's over 2,900 staff and nearly 9,000 students in total. And as part of that student body, we've got approximately 8,000 postgraduate research students that are actively doing their research before they write their thesis up. So if you come here to do a postgraduate research degree, then you're going to join and become a member of one of our 8 schools. And that will be dependent on the subject and area that you research, and therefore where your supervisors will be members of staff. So that school will become your home while you're doing your postgraduate research degree. And we're a large college. We've got about £120 million of research grant income. And we've got a lot of activities going on in academic research, and also partnerships with many external partners in industry, in the NHS, and other external organisations, which all contribute to the experience and opportunities that you can get when you come into MVLS as a PhD or postgraduate researcher. Okay, so let's get on to postgraduate research study. So just a bit of general background information first. So many of you are probably interested in the PhD. So the PhD is the sort of standard postgraduate research degree, and it's certainly the largest population of our postgraduate research students. And this degree is about 3 to 4 years full-time degree, and 3 to 4 years because the university has a minimum study period full-time of 36 months. But depending on some of our funded programs, they can be slightly longer because they involve other training activities. You can also undertake PhDs part-time, and they have a minimum study period of 5 years if you take them part-time. We also have another model called the integrated PhD, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation, but that's a 5-year full-time option, which gives you the opportunity to combine master's level learning with then undertaking a PhD research project afterwards. We also offer MD, so these are for clinical candidates, so clinicians to undertake a Doctor of Medicine, which is a 2-year full-time degree, or 4 years part-time. And then finally, there's a shorter postgraduate research degree that you can undertake, where it's still an independent research project where you write up a thesis at the end, but it's a 1-year full-time or a 2-year part-time degree. So there's lots of options, and the community is diverse in MVLS in terms of the types of postgraduate research degrees that people are studying. So what is a postgraduate research degree? So I thought I'd really sort of try and set the scene for how this differs, because it's a change from your undergraduate or even your taught master's degree in terms of going into a research degree. So firstly, there's no timetable. So you need a lot of self-motivation because it's an independent research degree. You don't get left on your own while you're doing it. You'll likely be embedded in a research group. You'll definitely have 2 supervisors. You'll have other independent academic staff that will become your review panel and will support you on your postgraduate research journey. So it's not something you'll do alone, but it's definitely something where you need that self-motivation and commitment to do, because you will be undertaking this research degree independently, and you will have to plan your own time, lead the project. And in that way, it's very, very different to any kind of taught degree where you're following a timetable and delivering assignments and assessments all the time. So that means the supervisors you identify and work with are really important, because you need to build an effective professional working relationship with them so that you get the most out of their support and experience. and you can learn from them, and they can guide you in that sort of journey into independence and leadership of a project. And you also are in a situation where reviewing your progress yourself is important, because there's no timetable. And you need to be committed to doing the research and motivated all the time. You also need to be in a position of being able to reflect on progress, direction of research, and recognize how you develop effectively on that journey as a postgraduate researcher. And then ultimately, to get your postgraduate research degree awarded, it's entirely on the basis of the thesis that you write up and submit, and then are examined under within a viva, an oral examination at the end of the degree period. So the award of that degree, after you've been on this long and exciting journey of discovery, of research in your project, is then dependent on you writing that up and being able to defend the research you did and explain the research you did in an oral exam at the end of the degree. So what does a research degree or PhD involve then? So, I mean, I remember when I started mine, and I'm a wet lab scientist, so I do experiments in the laboratory with cells. And for me coming in, I remember it was about doing the experiments or collecting the data, and then the data processing and the analysis, because of course this is all the hypothesis generated bit to go and discover new things and make and drive whatever field of interest you're working in forward with new discoveries. And this is essentially, I think, what everybody thinks about when they come into a PhD. This is the exciting bit for me, and it certainly is, but it's a long journey through a PhD, and you'll pick up a lot of other skills and experiences along the way that are equally important, both to gain for you to develop, but also to recognize that you're on this journey and you're building these skills. So of course you'll be building this effective relationship with your supervisor. So it may be your first sort of professional working relationship with somebody, because although you're still a student, you'll be working within an environment of an active research group, which will be a mixture of staff and students. So there'll be opportunities to develop those ways of effectively running professional meetings that help you develop your degree. You'll be doing a lot of reading to come up with new ideas and thinking about how to take your research forward. You'll be training, whether that's training in lab skills, data handling skills, or analysis skills, or IT skills, computing, data processing. And you'll spend time as well designing your studies, planning, organizing. So there's project management and leadership skills in there that you'll develop almost without realizing as you're on this journey of a postgraduate research degree. And actually, there's even more than that. So the leadership and management comes in and it develops, but you'll be also doing a lot of communicating, whether that's within your research group and in meetings with your supervisor, or giving talks to audiences, which is also an important part of a research degree. And that might be in lab meetings with your group, within your school to present to other school researchers the work you're doing. Or it may be then as you develop at conferences, whether they're in the UK or in other countries around the world, to go and really present your research to peers internationally. And also a lot of our postgraduate research students actually get involved in talking in public engagement events. So this is lay presentations. So you can develop skills in how to explain your research to the general public as if you might be explaining it to your family, because we get visits from schools, from funders and charities, visitors, sometimes politicians, for example, that want to come in and find out about what research is going on in the college. So there'll be other opportunities, so you can develop different types of communication skills as well. And then, of course, there's your writing skills. So you'll be writing progress reports to help hone your writing skills right from the beginning of your PhD. And then you will move on to learning the skills for writing abstracts for conferences, research papers, and then ultimately the longest piece of writing you'll have to do, which is your thesis to be examined at the end. And then there are some of our PGRs also get involved in teaching opportunities while they're undertaking their research degree. And that's quite often highly valued because it's an extra skill you can demonstrate on your CV, and it sets up maybe the next stages of your career you're planning. So essentially, while you're going to become an expert in your research topic, and I know doing the research is why you're here, to find out how do I get onto a PhD to do research. Ultimately, you're going to develop a lot of skills during your PhD journey, and those skills are going to be really important for your future career as well. So it's important to recognize what you get out of the PhD. If you come into MVLS to do a PhD, it's not just the PhD yourself. We don't send you out on day one and say, we'll see you in 3 or 4 years when you submit your thesis. There's also a supported training and development program you'll undertake while you're here. So we offer a PhD training program. Some of these training opportunities are offered through the Central Research and Development team in the university, and some of them that are more related to specific disciplinary research or activities in the college itself, delivered through the college graduate school. But this training program basically provides you with a framework to get to learn the skills that are relevant to your PhD, to undertake opportunities to improve broader transferable skills, and really also gain recognition if you're undertaking activities outside the college, to have them recorded for you formally. For example, if you go and present an abstract at a conference for the first time. So this is an opportunity really to develop your skills and training more broadly, alongside and in parallel with the skills you're gaining as a researcher while you undertake your PhD project. And we provide access to a lot of training, and it's structured in a program. And this is just really a snapshot, and it doesn't go into any detail. But essentially what the graduate school has provided is a framework that kind of gives you some guidance in year 1, year 2, year 3 of a PhD program of what types of training you could consider undertaking. And then there's an opportunity to select those courses and book onto them, to take them at a time that suits you. And this will be something, this kind of training program and which parts of the training you want to take is something that you'll be able to discuss with your supervisor and identify the parts of the training that are relevant for you. There are a few courses that are sort of mandatory for all postgraduate researchers. These are all highlighted to you when you start, but the program is flexible enough to allow you the opportunity to choose things that are interest to you and of relevance to you, so that you can develop your skills over the PhD journey. Okay, so what about actually coming here? So making an application. So I'll talk in a minute about opportunities for specific projects and programs we have. But essentially, if you're looking just to engage with the college and looking for opportunities for PhDs, then the first thing is to identify potential supervisors. In identifying those supervisors and making contact with them is really important, because that's how you're showing that you're specifically interested in a research topic, a research discipline that those supervisors work on, or you've seen they're advertising a project, for example, on Find a PhD, that is of interest to you. So identifying and making contact with those potential supervisors at the beginning is really important, because that's your first connection to find out about the types of research that's going on. When you apply to the university through the admissions system, there are a number of steps to undertake. So you'll need to be able to upload copies of relevant documents when you're making your application, including your degree certificates, 2 references, and your CV. For some PhDs, there may be a requirement to upload some type of research proposal. For example, if you've talked to supervisors and you've agreed that you'll bring in your own research project that you've helped, that they've helped you refine and develop, there may be a requirement to upload a research proposal. But in many of our advertised projects or on our PhD programs, then projects are already in place, so you may not have a requirement for that. But that will be clear at the point that you're reviewing the project opportunity and discussing informally with supervisors the opportunity to undertake the research degree. So how to choose your research topic? Well, I'm sure you've all got subjects you're interested in. So that's obviously the main thing, because you're going to go on a long journey to do this PhD. So really, it's got to be something you're interested and enthusiastic about, because it's the the journey to achieve research. Things don't work, things go wrong, directions change over time. So this needs to be something you're really committed to and very excited about working on. So it's an area of interest. And of course, the other thing about a PhD is that you're doing research for the first time. You're discovering things for the first time, because the whole premise of undertaking a research degree is that it's new and novel information you're bringing into your discipline. So the research question needs to be clear, and it needs to be addressing something that's unanswered or inconclusive or needs more knowledge added to it to be able to understand that research question more clearly. And then finally, it's also going to be linked to thinking about your future goals as well. So you may already have an idea of what direction you would want to go in a career after postgraduate research degree. So you may already be thinking about linking what you would like to do a research degree in terms of topic and subject, people you might want to work with, in order to help you on the future journey of your career after your degree as well. Okay, very briefly, because I mentioned an integrated PhD earlier, I'm just going to kind of talk through this because it's quite unique, quite a different opportunity to a standard PhD. The integrated PhD is really an opportunity, particularly if you're an international student, to be able to come to Glasgow on one visa and undertake some master's level talk courses in advance of then going into a PhD. Okay, so it allows you to come on that journey. So what you essentially do is it's still linked to the PhD you want to undertake. So when we kind of have two options that you can take through this. So one is that there are PhD projects advertised that are suitable for doing an integrated PhD. And there, the supervisor has written the project. They will have nominated relevant master's degrees in the college that are related to the subject of the research project. And you as a student can then apply directly to that PhD project associated with the MSc and secure the funding to undertake it. The second option with the integrated PhD is that you have identified a potential supervisor yourself, and you've kind of developed a research idea and proposal with that supervisor that's something you want to work on, and they agree they can supervise. And then the supervisor will help guide you as to suitable MSc degrees in Glasgow that would support any taught knowledge that you want to gain in an MSc degree before you undertake the PhD. And again, then you apply and secure your funding for it. So this option has a fixed application period, so between October and April. It's quite limited, but the decisions are made quite rapidly on this in terms of because the supervisors are involved with the selection process. So this allows you to come on this journey. Really importantly, though, you do not actually graduate in the MSc, because what happens is you take the taught MSc credits, and then when you would normally enter the dissertation period, if you're undertaking a full MSc degree, at that point is when you start your PhD. So it's an opportunity to gain the taught credits, gain that knowledge from Glasgow, settle into Glasgow before you undertake your PhD without getting the master's degree. So it's just a different opportunity of going on a postgraduate research journey in our college. Okay, there are a huge range of PhD programs and subjects, and I'm not going to go through this full list. And the questions at the end, Neil will be able to put links in to go and look at where these subjects are. But essentially, because we've got these 8 disciplinary research schools in the college, there really is a really broad range of subjects available for postgraduate research degrees. And you can search for projects through this search function of subjects. So this will identify projects. It will also, there is also a search function for looking for supervisors as well, that allows you to bring that together while you're exploring the opportunities that might be of interest for you in the college web pages. And that's a huge range of subjects, but underneath those subjects, of course, there are a lot of specific research projects. We advertise all our projects on Find a PhD and on the college web pages as well. So again, I'm not going to read through these projects, but what you can see here is when you start looking at subjects, so for example, cancer, and then you link in, start looking at PhD opportunities, then you'll start finding what types of project supervisors are offering, or finding supervisors that are working in an area of interest for you that you might want to contact to discuss further PhD opportunities. So for example, projects here on colorectal cancer, plant biology research, neurosciences, immunology and inflammation, environment and ecology, public health type activities, looking at physical activity, mental health, stem cell, regenerative medicine, biology. So really, this is just a snapshot of projects and subjects just to show you the breadth of the types of postgraduate research our students undertake in Glasgow. We also have a range of funded PhD programs and scholarship opportunities in the college. And again, this is just a snapshot of these. Not all of these programs are live recruiting every year, but on the graduate school webpage, when they are and there are opportunities available for them, that's where you'll find these programs advertised. Some of them have places for international students, not all of them. But again, each program has the specific information there about who is eligible to apply for projects, what type of funding is available. And these PhD programs, again, represent really the diversity of research that's going on in the college. And they come from a whole range of funders and provide those opportunities. So again, along with the individual PhD projects that are supervisor led, these PhD programs that bring cohorts of students into the college is another opportunity for you to be able to go and explore what's there and what might interest you to go forward with your postgraduate research degree. Okay, I was going to stop there because I wanted to give plenty of time for questions. So thanks very much for listening for the last 20 minutes or so. I'm going to stop sharing the slides so I can see you all again. And very happy if anybody's got any questions that we can answer. And if they're questions we can't answer today, we can link you in with the graduate school and get back to you.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Okay.
My name is Hamza, and I have done my master's in bioinformatics. So I have done my I have done my research in evolution. So do you offer any projects on evolution?
Yes, so that would be in the School of Biodiversity, One Health and Veterinary Medicine. Okay.
It will be fully funded?
So that depends on the program. So we've got funded PhD program that involves some projects that there will be environmental and ecology projects in there. Can whoever else isn't muted please mute themselves? And that's the Northwest Bio BBSLC program, and there are places on that program for both home and international students. The recruitment application cycle is finished for 2025 start though for that program, so there would only be an opportunity for 2026 onwards. However, in the School of Biodiversity, One Health and Veterinary Medicine, which you can link to from the college webpage, hopefully Neil will be able to put a direct link in while we're talking. That is the home of all our ecology and environment research in the college. So it's a really good opportunity to go in and have a look at the research in general. And also there are lists of the academic staff and their research interests in there. So that would be a really good place to start exploring what kind of opportunities to do research in that area there is. And certainly if there are PhD projects advertised now, they will be through Find a PhD, which again, hopefully Anil can put the link in to go and look for those types of projects.
Share the link for the evolution.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Not all of them are funded. Some of them will require funding to be brought to do the projects. But I think if you start looking in the school webpage, because you'll get a really good sense of the types of research, and then it links to the staff. And with each staff research profile, it does have their email address as well to be able to contact them.
Okay, sir. My next question is about there is a scholarship announced by British Council nowadays. They are offering scholarships. So can I apply through British scholarship to University of Glasgow?
So I think with British Council, you apply directly to them.
Yeah, they say that you'll need an offer letter from university, then
Yeah,
you will
so
apply
so
for the
it's
scholarship.
yeah. So you would again have to identify supervisors and discuss with them first, and then get their agreement that they would support a PhD project with you, subject to you being awarded the British Council funding. If it's so, there's eligibility for PhD funding on the core you've been looking at.
Actually, it's for masters right now, and they will. I think they say that they also funding the PhD program as well.
Yeah, so I would look at more information on what's eligible for that scheme. But if you're applying to the scheme but requiring an offer letter from the university, then the first step would still be to identify supervisors and a suitable project that you want to undertake. And you know, if you're making approaches to supervisors, and I really encourage everyone, if you're interested in a PhD here, please do send polite and specific emails to supervisors that you think are working in relevant areas to discuss opportunities with them. And if you're thinking of applying for funding to bring to Glasgow to do the PhD, be clear about that in your email to them as well, and then they'll be able to help and support the application process.
Okay, so the application process will be taking time, or it will be like shorter?
So it takes time. And the first step would be to informally contact supervisors, and then they can help guide you on the sort of formal application process to the university.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Because the deadline is near, so I want to do it as soon as possible to submit my application form to the scholarship council.
Okay, so it depends when the deadline is. But I would encourage you to start identifying supervisors in the first instance.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
sir.
I'm just going to move on because there's a few hands up now, and Neil, I'm going to rely on you a little bit in case there's questions that crop up in the chat.
Okay.
William.
Hi there.
Hi.
I was just wondering is there any opportunities for like campus tours or like to be able to come out and see facilities, or is that something that like you would arrange with a supervisor if you had an offer made?
Yes, the only formal campus tours are the open days the university offers. I would say for postgraduate research degrees, though, and particularly if you're local, which I'm taken by the accent that you're relatively local.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say then there's certainly an opportunity that if you make contact with a supervisor and you're discussing a specific opportunity, you'll be able to arrange to pop in and meet with them.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
You can do that informally as well.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I was just wondering if I should be doing that, you know.
Oh, so it's not a prerequisite. So you know, you don't have to feel you should come and tour the campus and do that. But you know, people do come and have a look around the campus. But formally, the only formal opportunity is through the university open days.
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Carolyn.
Hi, thank you. I just have a quick question, and I'm sorry if I missed this earlier because I dropped out, had signal for 5 minutes. I'm a nurse specialist and I'm only degree educated. I don't have a master's already, and I have a research proposal and a clinical supervisor lined up. Should I apply? And I was just checking that this would be an appropriate route for the master's program in clinical research as well. Or do you have is this the programs you've been speaking about specific to PhDs?
So I kind of gave a general journey of a PhD because that's the sort of largest community, but we do masters by research degrees. And the type of research, it doesn't matter. You can do, as long as it's original research and the project has a design that fits in the timeline, that it's going to be suitable. So when you say you've identified a clinical supervisor, do you mean obviously related to your workplace?
Yeah, so the person that I work with also is based at Glasgow University and runs a research programme there, and he's offered to be clinical supervisor, although the work that I would be looking to do is more qualitative than quantitative research, looking at patient experience. So I think it would still fit within this.
Yes, so that would be, and actually your clinical supervisor can, so they are a member of academic staff, an honorary member of staff.
They're a member of academic staff. They have a dual role.
Yeah, so I think you have the framework of being able to apply there already in place, and I would take the guidance of the supervisor. We'd always appoint 2 supervisors, but your supervisor you're already working with to develop the proposal would guide that as well. And certainly that would register you for a degree in the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Nursing.
Perfect.
And there's a postgraduate convener that represents the School of Nursing as well, that your supervisor you're discussing this with will know who that is and be able to speak to them and get some more advice for you as well.
Amazing. And presumably that's applications open till April as well for that, would it be, or is that a different
You can, if this is you bringing your own proposal to start, and this answers a question actually I've seen in the chat from somebody else. So generally, most commonly, our postgraduate research students start in the beginning of the academic year, because we do an induction in October. So it just gives everybody a chance to settle in. We do another induction in January, because there's generally another intake that tends to come in at that time of year. But there actually is more flexibility with research degrees, particularly if you're bringing your own proposal. And we do have students starting at other times of year. So whatever time of year you start, you'll still get the same research period. It's just if you start out sync with that sort of October, January, then you may miss an immediate induction when you start, which is a week of information about the experience and opportunities and services and support, etc. in the university. You may miss that until the next one that comes up. But certainly your supervisor, if they're a member of staff, they'll be able to advise you on all of this and connect you in with the right people in the school to help.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Lenovo. Lenovo is the name I can see on screen. Right, thanks. I can see you unmuted. I'm just going by the order of the hands on my screen.
I'm sorry. Thank you for this presentation. I'm a pathological analyzing technician, and I'm trying to apply for a master's degree in the University of Glasgow. I already have an application in progress, but I want to apply to the program of the infection and immunity. I'm also head of the accreditation unit at the University of Albayan. I'm in Baghdad, from Iraq. I'm just trying to, and I'm very keen to apply to the University of Glasgow via. There's an very old alumni. He's in academic staff. He told me about this university. I'm very keen to apply to it. But is there any scholarships for the master degrees? Is there any opportunities to
is this the taught master's degree?
What,
the MSc?
Yes, the MSc by research, also MSc research.
A master's by research.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the degree I showed you at the start, so not a taught, because you said MSc, I thought you were maybe thinking of a taught master's degree.
No. I want to get an MSc by research because I already have a research in progress, but I need to complete it at the University of Glasgow. It's about reverse, like making a reverse engineering, genetic reverse engineering the immune system to provide a better fighting chance against autoimmune diseases. Yeah. That's my research.
So that would be the School of Infection and Immunity be relevant supervisors. There aren't any direct scholarships to undertake a master's by research here. So if you're able to gain scholarship funding, you can certainly bring it here if you can identify relevant supervisors, but we don't offer scholarships to undertake it.
So there isn't any scholarship for the Masters for Research or
No.
otherwise, unless I bring it like a supervisor or a funding establishment to give me those funds, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, no problem. Eniola, I hope I've pronounced your name right.
Thank you for the message. My name is Olamide. So I want to ask if I've been given admission MRes, like this Masters of Research, Biomedical Science. So I want to ask if it allows dependents. Sorry, my voice is bad. So I want to ask if you allow dependents.
So that is not a university decision. That's the UK's visa system. So I think Neil can probably put in the chat the links to the information page on the university that helps advise about visas and links you into the rules and regulations, because there are different rules depending on which degree you're undertaking. If you're here for a PhD, then certainly people bring dependents with them. It may be different if you're coming for a shorter degree.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'll just put that up on the page.
Yeah, so thanks, Anil. That'd be great. Okay, Val.
Okay, thank you. This is Valentine. I have a question. Now, I received a conditional offer to study MSc in epidemiology of infectious diseases and antimicrobial resistance. And I have applied for my scholarship, that is the Academic African Excellence Scholarship, but I haven't received any feedback from the scholarship because I received an email that they'll give me a feedback from the 20th May. So, and also I received an email that I should pay £2,000 in order to proceed with the process. So I'm asking, how should I go about that since I haven't received the scholarship and I'm required to pay the £2,000 as for now?
So who are your, so you've got supervisors in place for this project. So this is a Masters by Research project.
Yeah, it's a thought program. It's being taught. It's not a research one.
It's
MSc yeah.
It's a taught MSc.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different team. So I'll tell you what, if Anil puts the contact details for MVLS graduate school email address in the chat, and you send an email directly to ask that question to the graduate school, the right member of the team in the graduate school will pick that up for taught master's degrees. You're right. So there's a deposit to pay for them that they request at a certain point. I basically can't answer that question, but we'll put in the chat an email address for you to be able to directly ask that question, and somebody from the right member of the team will be able to get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Edisu.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. And I'm from Ethiopia. I'm a holder of Masters of Health Economics and working in an academic institution as a lecturer now. So just after last time I've applied to University of Glasgow on the PhD scholarship in PhD in Health Economics and Technological Health Technology Assessment. And then I've received an email that says it was passed to the School of Health and Wellbeing, and then you have to wait for the responses up to March 5. So I'm waiting for the response, but still I'm not getting a response. But I want to join their PhD in Health Economics at University of Glasgow if I get an opportunity and if I get the supervisors. And I'm working and I'm interested to work on risk factors of non-communicable disease. So if some opportunities are available, I want to just take your side to recommend me. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, thanks very much. So you've applied to the right school. So what I would go back to my point I made at the beginning, identifying supervisors and making contact with them yourself if they're working in an area of research to you is often a way of informally making contact with the university with the right researchers you want to work with, and can help speed up the process of identifying supervisors and suitable projects. So certainly the team in the School of Health and Wellbeing, we get lots of students that do apply that route directly to the school and ask about opportunities, but it does take more time for the team to go through and identify researchers and be able to introduce them to you. So what I would encourage you to do is actually do go and look at the school's website, have a look through the research and the different researchers there, and see if there's anybody that's working in an area that's of interest to you, because their contact email address will be there. And the other option is for you to reach out to them and explain why you're emailing them and why you're interested in working on a PhD with them, and directly ask if there are any opportunities.
Okay, thank you very much. One thing I want to raise is that most of the time, just the scholarships at Glasgow or in England or UK, they request English proficiency when we apply for the scholarships most of the time. So how about that could be settled when we apply for the scholarship? Thank you.
So for any degree at Glasgow, you have to have an IELTS score with an average of 6.5 and nothing below 6. And you will have to present your certificate that you've got that qualification in order to be able to get an unconditional offer. So you have to sit the English tests.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Olamma, again, I hope I've pronounced your name right.
Okay, good morning. You made a really good attempt. That was very close pronunciation.
Thank you. It's always my worry.
You really tried. So I actually have two questions. The first question I wanted to ask is, I wanted to ask if for a master's taught program at the University of Glasgow, are there opportunities for students to work within the campus, maybe as a graduate assistant, a teaching assistant, or is that not available at the school? And then the second question I wanted to ask is just riding off the previous question that was just asked. And I wanted to clarify, you said that you must provide English proficiency. So is there a way that you can prove that, oh, okay, I studied completely in English, my certificate in English, so
okay. Yes, no, okay, so that's two really clear questions. So are you, just to ask first, so your question's about taught master's degree, and you here as an international student?
Yes, that's what
Is that correct? Okay, so with the first one, there are limitations on how much work you can do on a student visa. And again, the links to the visa system and the visa advice are in there. But students do come and do some part-time work. What I would say generally is you need to make sure you balance any work with study, because obviously you come here to get your degree. Students take a variety of jobs. There are some students that get opportunities in the university, but not necessarily. And there's certainly no guarantee, for example, of any work. But it's really important that there are some limitations around the student visa system in terms of what you're able to do. And the link that Anil's put in the chat will take you through to the university's page, and then that will give you some background, and there's contacts for asking questions about visas, but also it links in then to the UK government web pages, which is obviously what directs how visas work for students to come and study in the UK. So that's the first question. And then the second question was about the English language. Yeah, so there are some nuances to those rules. If English isn't a first language in your country, obviously you need to sit the test. If English is your first language, but you've done a degree here, so for example, you're coming to do a PhD, but you've already done a master's degree here, that would obviously add to the qualifications. But there are some countries that are exempt from the English school because English is a first language there, or the degrees are taught in English. So again, that information is available if Anil can find that webpage on the guidance for students when they're applying. There's some information on the language requirements.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. I'm just going to have a look through the chat. If anybody's got any other questions, please just have a think about it. while I'm just checking whether we've answered all the other questions. Do you need a research proposal for the MSc by research program? I think that was probably covered. Sometimes you can bring your own proposal. Sometimes supervisors advertise projects for MScs by research, the same as they do for PhDs. Again, it's about identifying supervisors in the area interested in researching and then taking that conversation forward with them. So that was Marta's question. Can you stop at solely? Oh, Carolyn, I think we covered that question, didn't we, when I was talking to you? Oh, so application periods and fixed deadlines. So I think we kind of covered that in generally. Have a look if there's specific projects or programs you're looking at, because they will have an application deadline for them. So that's really important to pay attention to. If you're in discussion with a supervisor and you're developing an idea or a research proposal with them, then there'll be more flexibility. And as I outlined, most of our postgraduate research students do start in line with the academic year, so October the 1st. We do have a reasonably sized community that starts in January. And then, as I said, that's why we run the university and the college run another induction week in January for those students that start. But because if they're an independent research degree, we do have students also starting out of cycle with those 2 dates as well. So there's a bit more flexibility. And again, your supervisors or the graduate school can help provide advice on that as well. Okay. All right, great. I can see there's another question here about a taught master's degree. So that's, thank you, Anil, for putting in the contact details for that. Do you ever take oh, okay, so this is a new question. Do you ever take PhD students without a master's degree? So that's actually a really good question. So what I would say is in the UK, you can come and do a PhD with a bachelor's degree as long as your grades and experience reach what we would call here as being an upper second class degree. However, my experience is most students now come with a master's degree. So what I would say is, while it's not mandatory to have a master's degree, when you apply, you may be competing with other students who apply and that have already undertaken a master's degree and have that qualification or have that qualification pending. So certainly, very much my experience of recruitment programs is that the majority of students are now coming with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. But it's not mandatory to have a master's degree. Okay, and then Megan, got your hand up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering about PhD interviews for projects that have the submission deadline end of March. This might be project specific, but the interviews tend to be held kind of in April. Is that the usual timelines?
Do you know what specific PhD this is? Is it an individual?
This one, it's the Canmore Trust one, the suicide.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so it very much depends on the program. So that program is a new one. So they are recruiting students as they get projects at the moment. So the I presume your invite has maybe come directly from the supervisory panel.
Right.
For the interview. So that one, if the deadline is March, you may find the interview could be as early as April. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
If you're just for general advice, then if you're applying to one of our larger funded programs, then we tend to open applications for most of those between October and round about the beginning of January. Gotcha. And then they kind of shortlist and then interview all the potential candidates from sort of now until the end of March, beginning of April, and then make offers after that. But that's because a lot of those programs are quite large with a lot of projects on and a lot of applicants. So the shortlisting and interview recruitment process just takes a longer timeline.
Makes sense. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Right, we've got 4 minutes left, so we've got time for a few more questions. So Joe has got their hand up.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, 2 quick questions. following on from the previous question, if you have a bachelor's degree, but it is not a higher second, but you have since completed a master's degree, does that supersede the bachelor's score or not?
It doesn't supersede it, but it could certainly be added to the evidence, and it can compensate for having traditionally what would be seen as a lower grade BSc. So you would apply and still declare all your qualifications, but the master's degree can be used to assess your application as lifting your eligibility. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And another quick one, if I may. I would be applying later in life following a career. So I wondered if you could give some kind of comparison. I read and know of people who've done PhDs who say it's all time consuming and extremely laborious. What is the guidance around how it compares to a full-time job, and how would any other work, is there any recommendation about avoiding other work alongside it?
Yeah, okay, that's a really good question. So we do have, and we are very much welcome and inclusive to people coming in for postgraduate research degrees at different stages of life, and actually the experience you may have brought from working, whatever your life has been through there, often can sort of set that experience for being able to manage projects. So certainly there's definitely that flexibility there. What I would say is a PhD is a full-time job. That doesn't mean that there will be students here that are probably trying to do some work around it as well, but the commitment to do it, and I have to go from the side of wanting to see all the students obviously be successful. I would say it's a full-time job, and probably a bit more, you know, the reading, the thinking, probably a bit of doing that kind of work around it. But that's the way I would approach it, as something that you're going to do full-time. There are opportunities to study part-time and full-time, and we do have students that are doing part-time higher degrees by research while they're undertaking work, and that's why they're taking them part-time. So there's flexibility in there within the guidance of the university and the experience of the college in terms of how to be successful and balance the other sort of various pulls on your life that everybody has.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Right, very quickly in the last minute, I'm just going to see if there's any questions in the chat, and then we'll bring this session to a close.
Sorry, I have one question. Last one.
Mohammed, I'm going to just go through the questions in the chat first. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, no, thanks, and hopefully we'll have time. It'll have to be a very quick question. Michael has asked whether students come in if they already have a PhD. There are some students that, for example, they may have a PhD from their home country or home institution abroad and want to come here to get a PhD in Glasgow. It's a very small community, and I would ask you to think very carefully about what your motivation is for doing a second PhD. Okay, but it's certainly not going to be against the rules to do it. James, yes, I've already addressed that question. There are some countries that people coming from those countries do not need to provide an IELTS score because they're recognised as English language speaking countries, and Anil put the list in, and there are equivalents to IELTS. Yes, that's correct. So thank you, Michael, for answering James's question. Okay, Marta. So research projects are their masters by research. They'll be advertised in the same kind of formats. Very quickly, it's the depth and the length of time. So a master's by research project will have been designed by the supervisors, or supervisors will guide the design of a project that fits within a 1-year research period rather than a 3 years of research. So it's still independent, novel research, but it's just at a lower scale and depth than you would do for a PhD, which obviously needs to deliver a 3-year research project. Okay, so Mohammed, in -1 minute, a very quick question, and then we will draw this to a close. Mohammed?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sir, I have a question. I'm Mohammed Shoaib from Pakistan, and I have completed my Master of Science in Nursing, and I want to do my PhD and Nursing Sciences from University of Glasgow. So my question is that I have completed my bachelor and master degree from Aga Khan University, and Aga Khan University in Pakistan is English medium university. Therefore, they teach and they do everything in English language. So my question is that should I be exempted from the IELTS exam or not?
So I don't have a list of institutions or countries to hand, but what I would say is the admissions department will advise on that, and they're certainly well aware of which countries and which institutions are where the IELTS is not required.
But we have included a link for admissions. You can send them a query and then they'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So the next this.
I think what I'm going to suggest, if there's any more questions, we've put the MVLS Graduate School email address, I think it's been provided. Yeah, there we go, Anil, thank you. So if you've got any questions, you can send them into that email address and a member of the team will be able to get back to you or guide you to where that advice can be provided from. Okay, but since we've run a few minutes over time, I'm going to draw the session to a close. What I would like to do is thank you all for joining today to hear a bit about PGR opportunities in MVLS. And thank you for some really fantastic questions, because often drawing out the discussion at the end has been more difficult actually when I've done these sessions before. What I'd say is we've got asked some really highly relevant, specific questions today, which I think have really added to the depth of information we've been able to provide to you. So thank you for your engagement. Very best of luck with your investigations into PGR opportunities. And I really hope that we'll be able to see some of you in Glasgow soon. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye, everybody.